go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the Downtown Business Improvement District meeting on Tuesday, January 14th at 2025. It is 5:30. We're here at City Hall, conference room number 1 on the first floor. Julian, would you help us with a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Lawrence Friedman.
Here.
Jasvir Malik. He's not present. Tomasi Seguirre. Not present. Julian Rutnowski. I am present. Hilda Torres.
Here.
Justin Heather.
Here.
And Jack Ruthers. He's not present.
Well, we have a quorum. So, next up, citizen comments. We don't have any citizen comments, but we'll just leave it open for the duration of the meeting. If people have anything to say, they obviously can. Item 5, approval of minutes of prior meeting held on December 17th, 2024. Having reviewed them, I do have some changes that we'll make those changes. We'll bring them back at our next meeting in February.
Good afternoon.
Make sure they're clarified.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hello.
Item 5, discussion items, no actions to be taken. Item 5A is just, wanted to talk briefly for those who are unable to attend. We had a very healthy discussion on December 19th as part of our town hall. Had several members of the public that were here that were able to talk a little bit about their concerns with downtown, with the activities of the Business Improvement District, some suggestions for the city and just general observations. So it was healthy, and hopefully we'll continue to have public input throughout the process.
And just to give our general update, a lot of the items that were discussed were there was a major concern on the uptick on crime. A lot of the businesses were talking about how, one, they're seeing less of police, and two, they're seeing more crime, burglaries. There was also a concern regarding lighting and how there's insufficient lighting. Certain members brought up how we need to start reaching out to AEP, that any lights that are existing that are out are typically AEP will go ahead and fix those. There's also discussion about how with the service plan and with what's going on with the TERS, how new lighting can go into play, but those new lighting fixtures wouldn't be managed by AEP, but would be managed by the Business Improvement District if they were to be put in place by the TERS. Those were the major topics discussed. Am I missing? There was a lot of things that were discussed during that meeting. I took notes, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, those were a lot of the primary concerns, and part of it was activating everyone downtown, and that was a good part of the conversation, because this whole process of this past year was a lot of conversations, whether it goes back to our Business Improvement District meetings. Obviously, we've held those every month. We've had those kinds of conversations. We also had the Downtown Summit this past spring, or spring of 24 at this point. Very healthy discussion. One of the things that we talked about was making sure that doesn't become a one-time thing. And we've talked about that in the past, of making sure that we continue to engage the public, and so that I'm hopeful that we can replicate that Downtown Summit Town Hall on a regular basis. I know the TERS itself has made a lot of improvements. We talked a lot about that, and trying to work in conjunction with the city, the TERS, and the business owners to move that forward. But I think it's important that, and we discussed this, to make sure that we try to keep everyone in the loop. And I think that's one of those things that we're gonna aim for long term, is that we have regular updates with respect to what the bid does, what the TERS is doing, what the city is doing. There's a lot of monies that are going into downtown, whether it be state, federal, local. There's a lot of investment downtown, including private investment. So I think it's important that we continue to maintain that dialogue and that conversation. I think hopefully we can replicate what we did last year without the, necessarily having the IDA in, but being able to report on everything that's going on. And people wanted to basically be kept in the loop. And we had some really good follow-on conversations. even after the meeting, as we all sort of dispersed, people still had additional things that they wanted to talk about. So I think it was very healthy dialogue that hopefully will continue.
And on the outreach, one of the difficult things that I'm sure every board or committee has, but especially what's gonna be difficult with us is gonna be on that outreach. It's not, you know, it's hard to say, or to keep everyone in the loop, you know, just the city posting the agenda out there sometimes isn't enough, especially since a lot of people are busy, they're not coming here every week to check the board. I do have now a fully functioning Facebook page where I'm posting the agendas. On top of that, for people that don't use Facebook, I created a WhatsApp group where it's not for chat, it's just for posting the agendas. So if any member here, as they collect people that are more interested, send me their phone numbers and I'll attach them into that so they can constantly be notified
Good idea.
of not just the formal, you know, these formal meetings, but the informal, because we do wanna have more meetings, meeting with stakeholders and having those discussions, because it's gonna take both to get this train moving. But that has been taken, I know there's a website being worked on for more, so that people can be kept in the loop. Well, it's not just going on here, but there's still a lot of people that don't even understand all the improvements that TERS is making, and I do think as the bid, it's our job to also inform them of that. So, that website's gonna be helpful in doing that too. Is that created yet, the website?
The TERS website has been created.
Yes.
We're gonna, address in today's meeting,
Okay,
moving forward with a website that focuses on the business improvement district, and which with Dairy link to all those other bit of information.
okay.
Okay, so next item is 6A, it's an action item, it's discussion with possible action to approve entering into a contract for insurance for board members in an amount not to exceed $3,000 annually for general liability and errors and omissions coverage and all other matters incident thereto. This is something that's been highly recommended from several different sources, and I'm sure Julian, you can add some additional flavor to it, but you know, we wanted to bring this forward to the board, you know, in terms of it was a recommended best practice as we move forward with actions as a
Yeah.
as a improvement district.
This came as a recommendation from some free advice from a consultant, thank God it was free, that there are things that we should, as a board, have in place before we start moving. There's other agenda items here that were also recommended, but, so this is basically the board insurance. It covers any errors or omissions, liability, and then eventually, what this policy will expand into is once services are being provided, we do need to have liability insurance for anyone that we hire. We have to keep that as a requirement. So I'm already working, talking to one entity that has already put a formal agreement together. I still wanna shop it around and see if I can get something lower. But that is the update I have for this, so I'm asking for a board vote to, as long as the amount is less than $3,000, basically approve this. So,
Make that as a motion.
let's see, motion to approve entering into a contract for insurance for board members in the amount not to exceed $3,000 annually for general liability and errors and omissions coverage.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second?
I have a motion and a second, any further discussion? I mean, you know, from my perspective, I think, you know, based on the recommendations and the input I've got, I think it's a good idea, for ourselves, obviously, but more importantly, to make sure that we do have that general liability once services are rendered, to the extent, you know, someone trips and falls or something like that, that there's at least that coverage. I mean, especially if we're able to obtain from, you know, grants, equipment, you know, can cause injuries or run over
Sure.
someone's toe or something like that, I'd rather have that coverage in place.
So call for the question?
Any further discussion?
Well, I just have a question. How does this get paid for? Is this like by the collections that we're doing? Is that, that's how it, okay.
And we,
And well,
Well, I was gonna say, right now we have a balance, we
Right.
do have some.
from our
funds in the
fundraising,
account.
yeah, from.
But then going forward, it would be, you know, from the collections.
Mhm.
So I have a motion and a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Next item, 6B, discussion with possible action to approve entering into a contract for legal services for the downtown business improvement in the district in an amount not to exceed $5,000 and all other matters incident thereto. Julian, go ahead.
So this item was brought about because right when the business improvement district was first started many years ago, we had a consultant that in themselves had, as part of their services, legal. That was another thing that was recommended, that we need to make sure that any contracts we're entering into, any policies we want to issue, ultimately, we have a professional in guiding us with what needs to be done. I know I've been talking to a particular attorney that represents the municipal utility district here as general counsel. I forgot the exact one, but I think it's our only one here.
Gateway Mud, is that? the
Yeah,
one?
I think so.
What's his name?
Oh my God, something Martinez, blanking at the moment. Let me see.
And the notion here is not that we're authorizing expending $5,000, but authorizing the board to consult legal counsel when something comes up.
Sure.
You know, we're gonna take an action, or there's a concern, you know, that you can consult a lawyer rather than waiting a month before, you know, if something happens, you don't wanna wait a month or have to call a special meeting to be like, oh, we need a lawyer involved. I
Very
am a
similar
lawyer,
to
but
what-
not
yeah.
advising myself, so that's the idea.
Very similar to what the city of Laredo has. We won't obviously need this attorney at every meeting, but anything that we have questions on, we'll have a resource.
Sure.
Right now, we don't have any general counsel or consulting assisting us. So I
So
think
who are we talking about? I mean,
Dan Martinez.
Dan Martinez?
Dan Martinez, and he's with Winstead. I know Justin was gonna reach out to some other ones.
And I've got a couple inquiries out to others, yes.
And
That's the guy you talked to.
I spoke to Dan Martinez in particular, and he said he was reaching out to local council to find someone here, because I think he's out of Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So he said another way to also keep fees and responses very quick, or keep fees low and responses very quick, is he can actually partner with a local attorney that can assist us. So it'd kind of be like a little joint between them both. So he's working on that proposal. In particular, the 5,000 not to exceed is because most attorneys require a retainer, and the typical retainer is 5,000 or less. So that's where that came to be.
Okay.
So this is like an annual fee? This would, you know, not
It's
to
a
exceed
retainer.
that?
It's a retainer. So
But can we contact them every time, when we need them?
Yeah.
yes, that's what yes, that's how what the retainer would be used
Yeah.
for.
Okay.
So I make a motion to approve entering into a contract for professional legal services for the downtown business improvement district in an amount not to exceed $5,000. Do I have a
Second.
second? I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, passes.
Can I ask that we possibly move back to citizen comments, since we did have the citizen show up? Sir, would you like to? So
Well, I thought it was a
we
regular
would have to
meeting.
make the motion first, but
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
so motion to go back to item 3, citizen comments.
Absolutely. Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Sir.
Yeah, the reason I came because my neighbor told me there was a regular meeting like the one that we had last time, back on December 19, I think that's what it was. I didn't know what this was, a board meeting for people only involved with the meeting, okay? That's why I'm here, okay, but, my opinion, I never liked this since the beginning, and I mean, I've been fighting it in my mind only, not fighting with weapons or politically with anybody, but because I don't think it's a fair situation. Right now you're talking about spending, returning money, no more than $5,000 on a lawyer, and then the insurance and all that. I mean, we have a city government that can do all these things, you know, but I'm sorry if I interrupted, but I came because my tenant told me it was a meeting for property owners and business owners. Okay.
I apologize. Could you state your name for record, please?
Roberto Garza. Yeah. So I'm sorry for coming in and butting in, but I thought it was for regular business owners and property owners.
No apologies necessary. This meeting is open
It's
for
open
the
to the
public,
public.
and it is, the Business Improvement District is for business and property owners.
Yeah, please let them know any of these meetings are always open, and as we say, citizen comments or before these meetings even come up, if there's something that you'd like us to discuss, you can always reach out to one of the board members and we can put an item on the agenda.
Well, I appreciate your openness, but, yeah, but I'm just against spending any money, you know, any more taxes, you know, I think we have enough taxes already with the city, Webb County, LISD and all that, okay, so. But that's my opinion, okay, I don't know, I haven't seen many people from downtown property owners to come in and discuss it with you all, and either, I don't know if they're against you, or they don't know what's going on, maybe they'll react after they get their bill, okay, but that's my opinion, okay, you know, I've been against it since they started working on this since maybe 10 years ago, I guess, when it was. That's my opinion, that's it.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. Absolutely. So item 6C, discussion with possible action to approve entering into a professional services contract for website design and maintenance in an amount not to exceed $3,000 annually and all other matters incident thereto. This was, basically, a lot of people don't know about these meetings, and everyone's on different social media sites, whether it be LinkedIn or Facebook. Some people are on Instagram, some people are on the web, and it sort of bounces all around. And the idea is that as part of what we're doing downtown is that we do need to have a website for the downtown efforts. And we sort of peg this at, from what we know about designing websites, that hopefully this would be both the design and the maintenance of that website. The website domain has already been obtained with no cost to the bid, as I understand it, but the idea of trying to get that set up and start thinking about how that should be designed.
What's the website domain? Do we know that?
I cannot
Not off
tell
the
you.
top of your head?
No, sorry. I mean, it was sent to me. It was reserved, but I don't remember the exact one.
So this would be the $3,000, no more than $3,000 for some designer to basically set the website and have it basically functioning for us.
Yes, and to maintain it. So, the idea would be that, things, I mean, you can set up the website, but everything that happens is, it's constantly changing. The idea would be that someone was maintaining and updating, all right, here are the minutes that were just passed, here's a resolution that was just passed, here's some pictures of this or whatnot. So the idea would be that this would be both the creation and then the maintenance for some period of time. I would assume a year, but I don't practice in this area, so.
So the one on discussion and the request that, I'm not sure if it needs to be in the motion, but I like to think I'm pretty tech savvy with especially Squarespace.
Mm-hmm.
If they use Squarespace to set this thing up, if we need edits here and there, that's something I can do for free easily. Like it's Squarespace is very user friendly, so whoever designs it, typically they usually do it. They'll say they're going to use, I think, WordPress, Wix, or Squarespace.
Okay.
So if we can just request that they use Squarespace, I think that's going to be the most user friendly, the easiest thing to maintain, the easiest thing for us to update on the fly when we really need, versus typically making a request and they have to go in there and then they changed something with site breaks, the user layout, and
Mm-hmm.
Squarespace is really good for
Okay.
just an editable website where we can post things.
I have no problem saving money.
Okay.
So, I will make a motion, enter into a professional services contract for website design and maintenance not to exceed $3,000 annually, with a strong recommendation for whoever the successful professional is that they use Squarespace for creating the website. Is that right?
Yes. But if they don't have, I can learn Wix. That's also usable. It doesn't have to be just. I would say if
Stay away from WordPress.
I hate WordPress, and a lot of people hate WordPress except for designers.
Okay, so I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion?
No.
Alright, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Hello?
Sorry. Brain fart. No opposition.
No,
Aye in
opposition,
favor.
okay. The motion passes. In terms of announcements, we just had a TERS meeting about an hour ago. Fairly productive, the Zaragoza improvements. There's gonna be a second extension just to get some minor cleanup items. You'll notice there's certain things haven't come in, Xeriscape, brick caps for some of the walls and the sidewalks, as well as we're still working on the issue of some of the landscaping. Some of the trees were not 4-inch caliper. Some of the trees were a different brand than we would like, just in terms of, not brand, but type of tree that will grow into the power line. So we're working on a few cleanup items. So that was extended through February 9th or so to allow the contractor to go through some of the punch list items and the TERS to address some of those concerns. And then I think we'll have the next round this spring of bidding, and then we'll move on to the next stage of construction, which we'll continue to make improvements downtown. And we're moving forward with the county's participation in the TERS, so that'll be a positive. And I think we're gonna make some continue to make some real impacts downtown. I don't know if you've had a chance to go along Zaragoza. It looks so much better. There's like 2 or 3 tripping hazards just with respect to the irrigation access that they're gonna go in there and fix. But it's a lot smoother than it was before. ADA ramps at almost every intersection as far as I can tell, so it's really much easier to navigate down there, as well as bollards to, it allows especially the fire trucks or delivery trucks to make wider turns, but protects the pedestrians of those bollards that are removable technically if the fire department needs it to access. So I think overall a measured improvement will be moving forward with some additional.
When you all start with Convent to Florida Street?
I believe that is the next phase, but I cannot be certain. I'm hoping it's sometime in 25.
Okay.
Because we've got 2 phases. There's 3 parts to it. We've done, part 1 of phase 1. We're now moving on to part 2. And part of that's going to be also dependent on how, one of the things is making sure we have the right support for all the projects, because we are getting some federal funds through TASA, the Transportation Set Aside Program. That will help with some of the sidewalk improvements. And, leveraging something like $100,000 in local funds to access 1.3 million in outside funds. So it's a very good deal, and so part of it is making sure that we give the proper attention to the projects we have, and then B, we're making sure that we work with the city so that we don't put in a new sidewalk and then the city says, oh, well, that's where we're gonna put in a new sewer. And then they come and tear up our work, so it's a little bit of a coordination effort on that side.
How about I know that with AEP at one point when we're developing the outlet, AEP said, now, these are our telephone poles and you can't use them. You guys paid for them.
So we paid some additional monies and are working with AEP so that and there's a whole design, so I can't guarantee every one of those poles is, but it's gonna look better. So a lot of the zigzag wood poles on the south side as it goes are gonna go away. A lot of those bird's nests are gonna be cleaned up. They're gonna have metal poles along the north, so even some of the improvements that have already been put in, there's still the wood pole, that's gonna come out and the metal pole's gonna be put in. So it will have much more of the aesthetic from the outlet shops as you go towards La Posada.
Would we be able to use any of those poles for lighting in between the mall, which would be going from, from south to north?
I think that's a conversation we should have with them, absolutely. I know the tourist is going to explore additional lighting. I know we want to as a bid as well, so I think that's definitely something we can have that conversation. The biggest concern that we're gonna get is the ladder trucks, and that's something that we wanna work with the fire department ultimately anyway.
Right.
Is to tell us where the dead parts are, that you're not gonna need a ladder, or there's some way that, honestly, if there's a fire, tear down the lights, if it's just a string of lights, coordinate on that front, but absolutely, I mean, I haven't had that conversation with AEP, but I think it's a conversation we should be having.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other sort of announcements?
Any other
Motion to adjourn?
Alright, I have a motion to adjourn in a second.
second?
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Do you send notices for this board meeting?
Uh,
Every property owner, or it's only within the board itself?
It goes out on on the city's website.
Alright.
We don't have email addresses for all of the downtown owners.
But if you can help, so,
But
I'm not sure, did you leave your number at the last meeting?
Yeah, I
You
did
did?
by email.
Were you on the WhatsApp? I added every number that was on here.
No, you haven't contacted me. I just found out about this meeting because my neighbor told me it was a regular meeting. He didn't tell me it was a board meeting. Otherwise I wouldn't have come. Yeah, right, he told me that it was a.
Please tell them to come to the board meetings too. Or,
You provided his number.
okay.
Mr. Garza, correct?
Yes.
Let me check, because I did create a WhatsApp group and
Do you have with that?
You should put my
Yes.
number on it also.
Yeah.
I'll add the board members too. Well, I have to be, we can't be a quorum in a group chat, so
Oh, okay.
it can only be certain, let me see.